And a good Monday afternoon to you. Welcome on into Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Gray Bar, driven by Munganass St. Louis Acura. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Mike Claiborne and Claibs. We start off the show today with breaking news as we are about 30 hours away from the MLB Trade Deadline. The Cardinals have made their first of what we hope are a few moves. Tommy Edman traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's a three-way deal. They get back in return from the White Sox starting pitcher Eric Fetty, who we talked about on the show last week. Prospects will be headed to the south side of Chicago from both L.A. and the Cardinals, apparently, according to Ken Rosenthal. So no more Tommy Edman. We did not see him in a Cardinal uniform at all in 2024, but the Cardinals get back a starting pitcher in Eric Fetty. This news just breaking recently. Claibs, your thoughts on it?
Well, you know what? You have to like the deal. I don't know if Fetty's going to save this team, but he's got to be better than what the Cardinals are going to try and run out there. And the problem is you have Sonny Gray, you have Kyle Gibson, Miles Michaelis gave you a good outing yesterday. And then after that, you have Lance Lynn, who's going to give you everything he has. But what you're doing is setting yourself up for perhaps postseason where you can have three legitimate pitchers go out there and give you a shot. It moves everybody back in the rotation. I think what it does also when you have Palante, if he goes to the bullpen, then it puts you in a position now where you really have three lefties out there, or really four, because Palante splits against left-handed hitters is better than it is against right-handed hitters. Mm-hmm. So, you got some options there. But with all that said, you hope that this is the start of some other acquisitions because you still need a right-handed bat. You still need perhaps another guy. In my opinion, you need a reliever with closing experience in the bullpen. Now, I don't care whether he's a lefty or a righty, but I need a guy who can get you the last 3 outs of a game other than Ryan Helsley.
Eric Fetty this year for the White Sox has pitched in 121 innings already with an ERA of 3.1. And when you look at that and you see that he's a guy with an ERA around 3, and we know how coveted a guy like Garrett Crochet is for the White Sox, from the White Sox too, and just all of Major League Baseball, looking at the fact that he is one of the top arms on the trade market. It's kind of fascinating that the White Sox are on the verge of losing their 15th game in a row. They've already had 2 14-game losing streaks already this year. To have those two guys in your rotation kind of shows you just how bad of an overall team they are because Eric Fetty might have 12 wins with an ERA of 3 on the Cardinals this year.
No, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, the fact that, the Cardinals are better defensively, they swing the bat just a hair better than the White Sox. But I think overall, this is a better environment for him. And obviously, that's one of the things the Cardinals are looking at. Apparently, Michael Kopech is going to the Dodgers as well. There's a guy that I really kind of liked as well.
The White Sox might not win a game the rest of the year if they're giving up some of their best players right now on a team that's already historically bad. This is
it doesn't look good, that's for sure. No. But you know what? I'm not going to worry about the White Sox. I think they're blowing it up. I wonder to what extreme. The manager, is he in trouble? I mean, I don't know. But you know what? There's a lot more work for the White Sox to do, and they're not going to figure it out in 1 year. So, I think what it comes down to is, are they getting prospects or are they getting suspects? Because we don't know as we speak who the Cardinals gave up as far as prospects are concerned. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so I'm digging into Fetty's stats a little more. He was on the 2019 Washington Nationals team that won a World Series, did not pitch at all in the World Series for them during that time. But back in 2021, through 133 innings for the Nationals, and then another 127 in 2022. Then last year went over to Korea. So looking at his numbers, and you kind of look at that pitch limit, actually threw 180 pitches, made a jump from about 133 was his career high, made a jump from 133 in 2021 to 180 last year over in Korea. He's at 121 right now on the year. So I don't know if inning usage, I don't know if any kind of arm fatigue is anything we're going to need to worry about. But I think if you just look at his major league stats, that's something that jumps out at you.
Yeah.
I think look at what he did in Korea last year, that he was able to throw 50 more innings than he'd ever thrown before last year and make it back and be as productive as he is so far this year in the major leagues.
Well, that's a great point you make with regard to we know he can throw innings. Okay, now whether they're major league innings or Korean innings, I don't think that's really the key here. I think the fact is that mentally he can go that far because I would imagine maybe he was having more success over there, but the bottom line is he was still throwing. And, I don't care who he's throwing to, and I don't know what the results look like over there, but the fact that he was able to go 180 innings says that maybe you have something here. And maybe if you find some other issues that he may have mechanically to get him through it, but I think it's more of a mental challenge than anything else. And I think when you look at this team of veterans on this ball club who've all gone beyond that, I think it certainly bodes well for him to be able to step up and say, give it to me. Let's see what happens.
Tommy Edman is the main piece from the Cardinals that is heading out to LA. We've talked about Tommy Edman many times, going all the way back to January, February, talking about Tommy Edman and his wrist surgery and his rehab assignment and the setbacks during his rehab assignment. For a team like the Dodgers to want Tommy Edman and be willing to be part of a trade like this kind of shows you what other teams might see when they look at Tommy Edman. But for the Cardinals to be willing to give up Edman with some of their offensive issues they've had this year and kind of sitting and waiting for him all year, what does that say to you about the organization's view on Tommy Edman here at the final few months?
Well, I think they probably determined there wasn't a spot for him. I think the emergence of Siani really was the deal breaker right there, because you had Siani, you thought that Victor Scott II was going to have an impact. So the center field position for what we see right now seems like it's going to be in pretty good hands. At second base, you have Gorman, you have Donovan, you have some other options coming up in the organization. So I think overall, there just wasn't anything there. Now, and a lot's changed since last year. Think about this. They signed him to a 2-year extension thinking he was going to be the everyday center fielder. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that fell through. And so now it's one of those deals where, okay, you look around and you say, well, what are we going to do with him? And that's why I have to bring up the fact that, when you think about Fetty and Edman, their contracts are going to be up at the same time. It's almost for the same money. So if you look at it from a Cardinal standpoint, you're saying, well, we didn't lose anything. We didn't have to eat a salary. We're going to get something out of our guy this year. We don't know what the Dodgers are going to get out of Tommy Edman. We don't even know what Tommy Edman's going to play on that team. So, there's a lot of questions still to be asked.
Yeah, you mentioned Michael Kopech heading over to the Dodgers in this trade. It looks like Miguel Vargas is going to Chicago, so the White Sox are getting a player back in all of this too. So they are that's another name in this deal as it's slowly starting to trickle out, all the details, all the particulars of this one. Any other deals that come your way, we will try to get them to you while we are on the air with you for the next 30 minutes or so. Another thing that happened over the weekend, Cardinals have designated Giovanni Gallegos for assignment, have basically told him, we're not sending you to Memphis. Either we're going to find a way to trade you, or it's, or we're going to let you go sign somewhere else. So the Giovanni Gallegos era in St. Louis has come to an end. The most used relief pitcher from 2019 to 2023 just seemed to kind of fizzle out here in 2024 with the Redbirds.
Well, it caught up to him. I mean, you just touched on it. And let me say this about Gio. This guy took the ball on days when he shouldn't have taken it, but he stepped up and volunteered because we had some other guys who weren't willing to do it. I have nothing but mad respect for him as a player, as a professional, and as a team guy. Relievers, it's a very tough position. And when you put yourself in that role where, you'll take the ball whenever they need you, some guys now say, no, I can't do it, but he never said that. And, eventually caught up to him, but I wish him nothing but the best. He's a class guy, and, I hope it works out for him.
And who knows, giving him, I know he's had a lot of time off already this year with some arm issues. Give him another week off here, let him reset, let him find a new home, and down the stretch, see if he can find a role with a contending team and help another team make it into
Oh,
the
I don't think there's any
postseason.
doubt that he's going to be on a contending team. I don't think there's any question. Somebody's going to figure out what the deal is with him. And once you get that slider to bite once again, then he's going to be tough to get.
Looking around baseball, some other things. Jack Flaherty, by the way, scratched from his start tonight. There is no deal in place, but I think it's the Tigers' way of saying, hey, pick this guy up and he could start for you the next day. You'll get one extra start out of him if you trade for him. So it does look like Jack Flaherty is on the move from Detroit to somewhere this year.
I think there's going to be a few guys that's going to be pulled today. Not just not just here. I mean, as far as the big leagues are concerned, I bet there's some minor league guys that might be called off today and tomorrow. So, it's a trickle down effect. Jack has pitched well this year for Detroit, but I'm a little surprised at Detroit with I'm looking at something here on Tommy Pham, and apparently he's on the move.
Oh, I'll look that up while you finish your thought on
but the thing is, he's pitched really well this year. And in Detroit, when you have Skubal and Flaherty, they've got some other young guys that I think are about to turn the corner. I'm not sure why they want to have a fire sale. What the problem is they stuck with the shortstop that Javier Baez. I mean, that's been a disaster, and they're going to pay him for a long time. But I thought Detroit was a team that was starting to turn the corner.
According to Robert Murray of fansided.com, Tommy Edman's coming back to the Cardinals, or Tommy Pham is coming back to the Cardinals. Well, that's also part of the three-way deal. So, Claibs, your boy's back.
It's going to be all good.
How happy are you right now?
Well, you know what? Anybody who knows me and knows him knows that what I think of him as a person. So let me call him right now. We're going to do some live radio here. Let's call right now and just see if he picks up.
All right. I'm all for it. Put it on speakerphone so we can
leave your message for
went in the voicemail.
Oh yeah, don't let that number go out over the
Okay, went in the voicemail. So something's going on. But you know what? He solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
You have a right-handed bat that can play center field when you need him to. So he and Ciani, that's a pretty nice 1-2 defensive combination there in the outfield.
Yeah.
And it's old home week now because you have Ollie, you have Lance Lynn, you have Tommy Pham, who else? You have Daniel Descalso. I mean, all those guys came up together.
Yeah.
And it's somebody else I'm missing here. And I think Pop managed them at one point. So I mean, it's like old home week. And I know he always had an affinity for St. Louis. And this will be fun for him. Maybe I'll see if he wants Gio's apartment. It's not far from me, so maybe he'll switch up.
Let's do this, Claibs. Let's take a quick 45-second break. Give you a chance to maybe shoot Pham a text or try to call him again. We will do that. And we will reset with any other trade rumors that we are hearing out and about. Trade deadline tomorrow, Tuesday at 5 p.m. already. Since we've been on the air in the past 13 minutes, the Cardinals have traded away Tommy Edman and got back Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham. So who knows what else happens while you and I are on the air. And plus, the Cardinals have a game tonight and a lot of other stuff to go over. It is Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Graybar, driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura, right here on Claibs Online.
Let me get this straight. Graybar is a distributor?
Yep. For more than 150 years, we supported electrical and datacom projects all over the country.
So you can get me products wherever and whenever I need them?
Yep. Thanks to our expansive national logistics network.
For any industry?
Yep. From construction sites and industrial plants to schools, hospitals, and just about everything in between.
So you could say Graybar is much more than a distributor.
Yep, you could say that.
They really do it all.
Yep. When you need a hand powering, connecting, or maintaining your operations, join the thousands of professionals who rely on Graybar to help keep them up and running. Yep, Graybar does that.
Back here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe, I can see that Mike Claiborne is on the phone right now, so took him off screen for a second, as I can only imagine he is on the phone with Tommy Pham. I'm sorry, too many Tommies in the trade. So I bring Mike Claiborne back into the show.
It is official. Tommy Pham is back. Just talk to him.
All right.
He's packing up now, and he's on his way here.
Is he going to be here by 6:45
I doubt
tonight?
if he gets here tonight because he's packing up, and I don't know. Knowing him, man, he might be. Knowing him and knowing Ali, he might be in starting line. I don't. This is kind of like one of those game-changing things where I don't know if Tommy Pham's going to be the whole answer, but man, you know what? The energy he's going to bring to that clubhouse, because he's going to work. And he and Ali and all these guys know each other, so he's got a chance to be on postseason team. And I think we all saw what happened to him last year. Here's something that I brought this up yesterday. You know who one of Tommy Pham's biggest fans are?
Outside of you, who?
Bill DeWitt Jr.
Okay.
And I remember last year we were at an event doing the World Series, and he said, "Hey, how about our guy?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Tommy." And I didn't know he kept track of him on a regular basis as far as his stats were concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how he was happy for him to get to the World Series. And so the other day, I saw him, and we were just talking about right-handed bats. I said, "Hey, we got to get a right-handed bat." He said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "You know anybody?" And he just kind of grinned. I was like, okay. So I don't know if he had direct say in bringing him back, but I know he had an affinity for him. So, we'll see what happens.
Just quickly looking here, Claibs, I just went to southwest.com. There is a 6:00 flight out of Midway back to St. Louis, so it'd get him here around probably the third or fourth inning of the game, of the game tonight. If he was able to jump on that, I don't have other ones just right off the bat here.
A travel agent here now. Okay.
I'm just, you know what? I'm trying to get your guy back in time. You
cool.
said he could get on the starting lineup tonight.
Well, I don't even know who's pitching. I haven't even looked at who's pitching for Texas. Is it Eovaldi?
For tonight's matchup, it is Eovaldi. So for Palante. So I don't know. Cardinals got about 5 hours to make a move to get Eovaldi to switch dugouts and start against the Rangers tonight.
Now we're getting crazy. Now you've lost your mind.
I mean, that's a name that's kind of been linked to them needing to what they need in the at the trade deadline is a guy like Nathan Eovaldi. So it's
but now with Fetty in the rotation, I don't know if you're going to use him, and that's now you're really front loading your rotation. I think right now you have to look at who's going to be a closer. Who's a guy who can close? Who's a guy with experience? Who's a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of innings on his arm? Because here's something else that I want to caution everybody about. If this team continues to play hard and you're using the same guys, we're going to have some guys who are going to max out innings wise. Mm-hmm. And we don't know what that's going to look like beyond September. So you better have somebody who has, who hadn't been burned up too much, but you better have a guy who knows how to handle himself when it gets late in the year.
Bob Nightingale has all of the details of the trade right now. Just one more name I want to look at quickly. Does not look. Yeah, the Cardinals did not. So here's the full deal. This according to Bob Nightingale on Twitter right now. Dodgers received Tommy Edman and Michael Kopech. Tommy Edman of the Cardinals, Michael Kopech of the White Sox. Cardinals receive Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham from the White Sox. The White Sox receive Miguel Vargas of the Dodgers and Dodger prospects Alexander Albertus, Gerald Perez, and Noah Miller. So there are no Cardinal prospects listed in this deal. It is only Tommy Edman. It's the only name that the Cardinals lost in all of this.
Well, you know what? It's a good deal, just from what you just said. So you didn't give up any prospects, and maybe you're sitting on those prospects for another deal. Again, right. I go back to the reliever. So this is obviously for those who were wringing their hands 2 hours ago. This is something I think that most people will embrace. And I'm sure somebody will say, well, why didn't we get this guy? He's better than Fetty, or he's better than Pham. Yeah, and maybe you had to give up more. I don't know. Dealing with the White Sox, obviously they having a fire sales, and at this point, you might as well jump in there, and they still have a couple other good players on that team. So who knows what'll happen with them?
When the Cardinals DFA'd Giovanni Gallegos, that took one guy off their 40-man. Tommy Edman, was Tommy Edman on the 40-man right now,
Yes.
or was he off because of being on the 60-day DL?
Good question. Well, he was on rehab, so
he wouldn't have had to be activated from that. I'm just wondering where the Cardinals are at now, because both Fetty and
they had
Tommy
one
Pham,
spot. I believe they had one spot open on the 40-man.
Yes, with Gio dropped off. Yeah, they did. So that's where I'm just kind of wondering how all the pieces work right now and what else happens.
I give you a half dozen guys I can take off to 40.
Which I just how it happens to bring me to my next point. When you look at some of the other names that are going on, Saturday when Giovanni Gallegos left the game, you kind of had the sense that was the last time that he was going to pitch for the Cardinals. You kind of had a sense that was him walking off the field for the last time. Did you get that sense maybe on Friday with a guy like Dylan Carlson with the game that he had on Friday? Is this a guy that you think is maybe actively being talked about with the Cardinals?
I think
moving on.
That the Cardinals are letting people know he's available. And then some will tell you they told people that last year. I don't know what the real rooting interest is. I know there were some teams that I was told that were interested in him, but I guess they couldn't come to a deal. But right now, he probably is the odd man out because of the fact you have another outfield in Pham who can play all three outfield positions and can swing from the right side.
Yeah.
So in essence, the Cardinals aren't done. And they're sitting on a couple of prospects that aren't going to play here that would certainly bode well in another organization. So they are really right now, pardon the pun, dealing the cards on what they want to do next, because they have prospects that they have big league experience. They have some prospects that are right there on the cusp. So they're in a great situation to continue to load up.
As you kind of look around now, look at some of the other moves that have been made already in MLB. Right now, I mean, this is something the Cardinals needed to jump in on. This was something that they needed to get moving on, because it started over the weekend, I think, with Randy Arozarena, maybe the first domino to kind of fall in this going to Seattle. And then you started to see all the other pitchers, all the other relief pitchers, and some of the big time contenders starting to make moves. I know Baltimore, Philadelphia they were really big on this as well. So the Cardinals really needed a move like this to kind of put themselves also in the mix of, hey, we're serious about this year.
Yeah, no, I think it's a statement, and I think it's a statement they had to make, because fans were getting a little antsy, and this is a winnable division, a very winnable division. Not making postseason, okay? Forget that. Forget wild card. You can win this division, and you've just made yourself a little bit better. There's still work to do, and here's the other thing: you still got to go out and play. You still have to. Gorman's going to have to hit. Arenado's going to have to hit. Goldschmidt's going to have to hit. Donovan's going to have to hit. I mean, though, you still have to go out and play and still go out and do your job. I'll tell you, here's another interesting situation that's developing. Pedro Pages is far better behind the plate than anybody else we have. Okay. So at some point, there's going to have to be a conversation about what Wilson Contreras' role is going to be down the stretch. Because Pages calls a better game. He handles pitchers better. He's better defensively, and he throws a little bit. Well, I don't know if he throws better, because Contreras still can throw. Yeah. But bottom line is, now he's starting to swing the bat a little bit better. He had 2 hits yesterday, had a triple. Okay. So that's a conversation that's going to have to be taking place here fairly soon. But right now, I think the energy in that clubhouse today is going to be electric.
Yeah, you'll when you get down there and report for that 6:45 game time for Cardinals and Rangers tonight. Nathan Eovaldi against Andre Palante. You will be part of the broadcast team tonight for KMOX, and Joe Buck will be part of the broadcast for Bally's tonight. They're going to try to redo what they planned on doing for the Cubs-Cardinal game a few months ago. It'll be Chip Caray and Joe Buck on the
it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing them both. Who knows? Maybe David Freese will show up. I'm kidding. I have no knowledge of what David Freeze's whereabouts. I just roll that out there.
You had plenty of guys in town this weekend, though. Former players, the 2014, the 1964 team were both honored this past week. What names or what faces did you see this weekend that you hadn't in a while?
I hadn't seen Reggie Sanders in a while, and he's one of my all-time favorite players, still to this day. And Reggie Sanders looks better now than he did when he played for the Cardinals, physically. He still has taken great care of himself, but it's great to see him. There's some other guys I haven't seen in a while, but Reggie Sanders was one of my favorites. When you think about the impact he had on that team with Larry Walker and Jim, I mean, to me, that may be one of the best teams that didn't win.
Yeah.
Now 68 team was really good, but this 2014, they had good defense. They could swing the bat with anybody. The pitching was starting to come around. They had a lot of good things going on. It was the advent of Yadier Molina. I mean, there's a lot of good things about that team that we just ran into a buzzsaw in Boston. Yep. But that team, I put that team up against anybody.
Yeah, after what Boston did to the Yankees that year.
Yeah, you just knew it was their year.
Nobody had a chance. There wasn't a team in history, baseball history, that was going to be them in a 7-game series after that. So it made you feel a little better when they swept it in 4 games. That was okay. Yeah, they let us know that
they'd beat everybody else in 2. Yeah. I mean, you just nah, it's all right, man. We don't want to play no more. We're good. Take that ass kicking again.
Hey, let's take our final break. When we come back, wrap it up with some Olympic talk here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe. Back after this.
Are you ready for a challenging and rewarding career? There are quality jobs in the construction industry.
I got out of college and my career choices were very limited, and this provided me with a plan for the present and the future at the same time.
I actually have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I was making less than I make as a first-year apprentice painter.
I didn't go to college. I have no college debt. I make more money than the majority of people I know that went to college.
Take your first step towards a rewarding career. Visit stlouispdf.org.
Back here, Lunch with Claibs and Joe. A few more minutes before we wrap things up. I know Rammer's traveling in the mountains this week. Going to try to do a daily cards with him, but we will for sure be on the air tomorrow around 5 o'clock, right around Trade Deadline Tuesday, and bring you all of the last minute trades that trickle in and talk about everything that's happened up until that point. So that is tomorrow around 5 o'clock here on Claibs Online. Olympics started on Friday, Claibs. They've been going all week. Saturday morning, your women's water polo team got their first win over Greece. Dominating victory. I know you were watching. Flavor Flav and Jill Biden were in attendance for the game there. So
only can the Olympics bring people like that together.
Was it Kenny Albert on the call too of that?
I mean, I know some people who have already poo-pooed the Olympics. I think it's the greatest event we have that takes place in this world. From a planning stage, from a competition stage, bringing so many people together from different corners of the world. There's so many great human interest stories. And you can talk about, they're pros. Yeah, okay, I don't care. I don't care whether they're pros or not. But the bottom line is it's a great event. The interesting thing about it is a city that hosts it normally goes broke when it's over with. I don't know what Paris is going to look like when this is over with, but you think about all the other cities that have hosted the Olympics, most of them go into dire financial need. You go back to LA, it may have been one of the last cities that made money in 84. You think about how long ago that was. Montreal almost went under. The country of Greece is still trying to figure out how they can write a check out because they're almost broke. So it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. But when you get it going, man, it's nothing like it. And the swimming has been terrific so far. You mentioned the women's team handball. Track will start up here fairly soon. I'll tell you one sport that, man, nobody talks about anymore is boxing.
I saw that was on earlier today. Yeah.
But I mean, you don't hear about it. Yeah, you don't hear about it. And I think maybe it has a lot to do with boxing is not the sport it used to be in this country, especially from a heavyweight standpoint. But there's something for everybody. There's something for everybody.
one of the things that Paris is able to do, and for those watching right now, I put the picture up on the screen. Have you seen the sand volleyball courts?
Yes.
That's there with the Eiffel Tower in the background. Claibs, I cannot think of a city in the world or a monument of anybody that can do something and bring you a facility like this with a backdrop like that. I can't think of any. I mean, outside of maybe, I don't know if it's in Egypt somewhere and you're putting the pyramids in the background of some. I can't think of anything that would top this view of what Paris has given us with sand volleyball.
Well, I would agree with you, and I bet there's some other venues that have the Eiffel Tower in the background. So it's a great
open
setup.
air like that, though. I mean, that's yeah.
It's fascinating, and I know some people who are already there that says it's different. Security is tight as Dick's hat band, and we understand why. If it stops raining, they might have some really good events. I mean, it's rain.
Did you watch cycling on Saturday morning?
I did watch
the rain.
Yeah, I did watch it. So there was a lot of good stuff that was going on, and if they get the weather squared away, it'll be better. And God knows we know about how bad weather can be here. As many rain delays and rainouts as we've had this year, I'm thinking about today with Joe Buck doing the game. I just don't bring any rain with you, man. Whatever you do, make it quick and let's get out of here.
Yeah, handball was on earlier this morning, Claibs, and that's what I will never understand. I don't know if you get automatic bids into sports if you're the host country.
Yeah, you do.
2028, U.S. needs to figure out a way to put a team together for handball.
You know what?
Of professional athletes that have retired within the last 5 years, and you just put them out there and you make a team of it.
I think that's something. It's funny you bring that up because Rammer and I once did women's team handball.
Yeah.
So we're foremost experts on it because nobody else in town ever did it.
So put your agent cap back on.
Yeah.
4 years from now, 2 years from now, and start recruiting a team. Go around and figure out who's. Hey, Steph Curry doesn't have that many years left in the NBA. You go to Steph and you say, hey, come play handball for Team USA in LA in 4 years. You're going to be passed over. Team USA is not going to need you. We're going to have a fresh batch of guys there. You bring in guys like that. Anthony Davis, you bring him over. You find some former relief pitchers in MLB and you bring them on board.
It might be interesting there.
Throw it 80 miles an hour into the goal. Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. I mean, it takes a lot of time, though, man. The countries who are good at it, man, they really. And I always remind people when we see these other countries that are good at certain sports, you have to think about a lot of times they don't have the options we have in this country. You have football, baseball, basketball, hockey before anybody starts thinking about handball or thinking about water polo or any of the other sports that we see that the other countries are really good at. That's all they have.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to compete on those levels outside of our comfort level, it says a lot about the commitment we have in this country as far as athletics is concerned.
Yeah. All right. No other trades coming through as I'm hitting refresh and trying to see anything else that might be happening in baseball right now. So until then, we will keep you updated as best as we can for that. Looks like Ty France ended up with the Reds. He was DFA'd by the Mariners over the weekend. So that's a guy with a lot of upside.
He can help him. He can help him. And, I'm going to go back to this. And I said at the beginning of the year, I thought Cincinnati was going to be in this thing. And I still do. I'll tell you a team who I think is going to be in trouble. I think Atlanta's in trouble with the injuries that they've had and the lack of performance production they've had from a couple of players. Atlanta could easily be watching this thing on TV. You could theoretically see the Cardinals, Cincinnati, San Diego in the playoffs. Because San Diego's not done. They're going to make another move too.
Right.
So I just say stand by. And the sprint is on now. It's game on. You win 5-6 in a row. You win 8 out of 10. Those are the teams that are going to start putting some distance between themselves. And the Cardinals are in a prime position. They've gone through a little bit of a tough stretch now. Now that they get Texas and then they go into Chicago, who knows what the Cubs are going to look like this weekend?
Right.
They may move some other people. So now you have some business to do before you come home. You have that one makeup game against the Mets. Then you have Tampa. Who knows what they're going to look like? And then here come the Dodgers. So it's going to be some very interesting baseball coming up in the next 2 weeks.
All right, that's going to do it for our show today. If you are just now tuning in, Tommy Edman traded to the Dodgers, Cardinals, and get back in a 3-team deal. Eric Fetty from the White Sox, and returning back to the Cardinals is Tommy Pham from the White Sox as well. So we will keep you updated and keep checking in on Twitter to see if Tommy Pham is going to be in the Cardinal dugout in their lineup tonight as they get ready to face Nathan Eovaldi and the Texas Rangers. Until next week, he is Mike Claiborne. I'm Joe Roderick. This has been another edition of Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Gray Bar, driven by Munganast St. Louis Acura, right here on Claibs Online.
Munganast St. Louis Acura is making room for the 2025 MDX, so that means great deals for you on the 2024 MDX. We have over 100 2024 MDX models in stock, and you get financing as low as 3.9% for up to 60 months. Or you can lease a new MDX for just $559 per month for 36 months. Or get the MDX technology model for just $589 per month for 36 months. Munganast St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.